I'm at Evolution in New York City, and this store is amazing. I'm here with Julie Stevens, who is the business manager and actually the daughter of the founder of this store. And it is full of all kinds of amazing, I guess I would call them artifacts or
Curiosities.
curiosity. I love the term curiosities. And I just want to learn more about how this store was created. How did this all start?
Well, my father opened the store in 1993. Collecting these types of items had always been a passion for him, so it kind of grew out of his own hobby. And he was in photo retouching for many years, and he decided to move on from that industry and thought, what better to do with his collection than to open a store. So when he opened the store, it was basically 5 boxes of his own stuff that he put on the walls and on the shelves. And we had a couple cousins manning the register, and it kind of grew from there.
I love that because creating a business out of what's the expression? If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
So I mean, basically that's what happened. So where do you get all of these items from?
We have a network of hundreds of suppliers from all across the world. We travel several times a year to trade shows and gift shows, and we just have some of the most unique and interesting suppliers, small family businesses usually, who are just as passionate about this stuff as we are.
And what I love when you say curiosities, what I love about this store is a lot of the items in here are kind of scientific, are scientific in nature. And I have a junior scientist at my house, and he loves all these things. He's curious about them. So basically, you're educating as well as feeding that curiosity.
Yeah.
Do you get who primarily comes in here to shop? What kind of customer do you see?
Well, we see all kinds of people. We do have a lot of kids. We have a lot of, tweens. That sort of like age group is very, very usually excited to be here. Parents obviously buying for kids. And, we do a lot of business with home decorators, interior designers. We also have a small network of high-end collectors. We also do business with museums and educational institutions. So it kind of runs the gamut.
It really does. It's a lot of different customers, actually.
We try and have a little something for everybody.
When I've been in here before on a weekend, it has been packed.
It's wall to wall.
And a lot of people shopping for birthday parties and things like that, which I think is a really great idea with the items you have here. So tell me about the variety of items you have.
Well, we have a bunch of different categories of items. Probably our main sort of signature item is our framed insects and other arthropods, which we all make in-house. We have our own framing department, our own entomologists and fabricators who make these wonderful creations. So we have a small manufacturing studio where we create these items. That's one of the big things that we do. We also have a huge fossil and mineral collection. We have beautiful taxidermy, home decor items. We have a selection of jewelry and toys for kids.
That's amazing. So talk to me more about the insects and, butterflies, the framing of that. How does that all happen? How does it work? Where do you get the butterflies from?
The butterflies and other insects are usually imported from overseas, from everywhere, every continent, Africa, South America, Europe and Asia, really everywhere, and a few from the U.S. and Canada as well. And they're just some of the most beautiful specimens that you would ever see. And then the frames we are actually made in upstate New York by my uncle, who has a small carpentry studio. And so he makes all of the frames by hand out of ash, and they're assembled here in our studio, which is across the street from the store.
I think one question people would have, and one of the questions I first had when I came into the store, is I see all these insects and butterflies and wondered if sort of how they came to be here, and whether or not they're being I don't want to say harmed, but I just think that's a really interesting question when people
Sure.
see the things here, and if you value life and sort of are
course.
thinking about that thing,
Yeah.
I think people are curious about that.
No, that's a question that we get all the time, and all of the items that you see have been harvested responsibly and ethically, and of course within all laws and regulations. So that's the first thing. About the insects in particular, the story behind that is quite interesting. So the places that they come from are usually from very impoverished communities, and farming these insects is typically a great source of income and independent sort of business for families and communities in places like Papua New Guinea and Brazil and Peru and Indonesia. So all of these places, have native populations that are struggling economically, and this provides a responsible, eco-friendly way for them to support their families.
That's really interesting. And I just want to be clear that this store really celebrates life and appreciates all of the beauty of nature and
Yeah.
life. Really,
Of
mean,
course.
it's so great.
Everything that we have and that we display with care and with respect. And the idea behind that is to share parts of nature that people who live in cities like we do would never be able to encounter. And in fact, it usually sparks imaginations, and it sparks an interest in science and conservation, and it really has that effect, especially on young people.
That's really important. So thank you so much for helping us with this interview and welcoming us into your space. I love this store, and my son hasn't been able to come here, but I know he would be so excited to see all these things.
Well, we do have a website, so even if you're not in New York, you can always visit us, theevolutionstore.com, and we ship all over the world. So
Thank you, Julie.
you're welcome.